Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel on the present perfect tense. Today's lesson is very interesting. In this lesson, I'm going to explain when and how to use the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is one of the advanced tenses in English that I will explain in this video. What is the present perfect tense? The present perfect is used to express an activity which began in the past, continued to the present time. Let's look at diagram. The action is started in the past and continued up to now. Remember, when the present perfect tense is used in this way, it is usually followed by since and for. What are since and for? Since is used to show point in a time when the action happens. For is used to show a period of time, how long. It is used to show a period of time. For example, I have been a doctor since 2010. I started to be a doctor 11 years ago. Now it is 2021. And I started to be a doctor 11 years ago. And I am still a doctor. I have been a doctor since 2010. The action is started in 2010. But the action is still true. I am still a doctor. Or she has lived in Canada for 5 years. She moved to Canada. She started to live in Canada 5 years ago. She still lives in Canada. She's in Canada. She has lived in Canada for 5 years. How long has she lived in Canada? She has lived in Canada for 5 years. Or we have known each other for 2 years. 2 years ago, we met each other and we still know each other. We have known each other for 2 years. For is used to show a period of time. It is used to show how long. He has been a student since he was 7 years old. When he was 7 years old, he started to be a student. But now he is a student too. The action started in the past and continued up to the present. He has been a student since he was 7 years old. Now he is a student. Let's move on. Just or recently. We use just or recently. Just or recently is used with present perfect tense to emphasize that an action was recently completed, just a short moment ago. For example, I have just eaten dinner. Maybe 2 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, maybe 1 hour ago, or maybe a short time ago. I have just eaten dinner. Or she has recently done her homework. Maybe 30 minutes ago, maybe 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, or maybe a short moment ago. She has recently done her homework. It emphasizes that an action has recently finished in the past. They have just left the class. Or John has recently finished his project, etc. Finished. The present perfect tense is used to show an action which started and finished at some unclear time in the past. For example, I have already seen that movie. Here already shows that the action finished in the past. I have already seen that movie. I don't need to see that movie anymore. If your friends ask you, would you like to see that movie? You say, I have already seen that movie. I don't need to see that movie anymore because I have seen that. Or she has recently done her homework. The action has recently finished. The action finished, and she doesn't need to work on her homework again because she has recently done her homework. Unfinished. Examples. I have taught English since March. The action started in the past but continued up to the present and it is not finished. I have taught English since March. Now I teach English. She has worked for 5 months. She started to work 5 months ago and she still works. She did not stop working. She still works. Or we have not done our homework yet. From the past till now, the action has not happened. We have not done our homework yet. Or have you ever been in Australia? Not all of your life in the past till now and including now, have you ever been in Australia? Or they have never played soccer. It is a negative. All of their lives in the past till present and including the present, they have not played soccer. So this sentence shows unfinished action. The action is started in the past. Some action is started in the past and it is still true in the present. Okay, let's move on. The present perfect can be used to show an action which was completed in the past, but the mark of the action is still seen in the present. For example, the children have spilled the ink on the floor. The action happened in the past, okay? But the mark of the action is still seen in the present. Now, ink is on the floor. Or she has drawn a picture on the wall. The action happened in the past, but the mark is still seen in the present. She has drawn a picture on the wall and now the picture is on the wall. We can see the picture. Or we have painted the kitchen. The action happened in the past, but the result of the action is still seen in the present. We have painted the kitchen and now the kitchen is painted and we don't need to paint anymore because the kitchen is painted. Okay, let's move on. The present perfect can be used to show an action which has repeated several times in the past. For example, I have met John many times since I came here. Since I came here in this place, I have met John many times. Not one time, not 2 times, but many times. Or the students have gone to the library several times, not one time, but several times. The action repeated several times. Or he has participated in the sessions several times. Not one time, but several times. The action repeated several times. Let's move on. When not to use the present perfect tense, do not use the present perfect tense with any kind of finished time expression. You can use the simple past tense with finished time expression. There are some finished time expressions in the following chart. They are like yesterday, last night, last week. last month, last year, in 2014, in 2015, etc. 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 2 days ago, the day before yesterday, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 100 years ago. So these expressions are finished expressions that we cannot use in the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense and simple past tense examples. It is wrong to say I have done my homework last week, because last week is a finished time expression. We cannot use a finished time expression with present perfect tense. I have done my homework last week. But it is right to say I did my homework last week, the past simple tense. Or it is wrong to say she has broken her leg 2 days ago. 2 days ago is a finished time expression. 2 days ago is over. But it is right to say she broke her leg 2 days ago. They have won the match last night. Last night is a finished time expression. They won the match last night. It is correct. They won the match last night, because that is the simple past tense. Let's move on. When to use the present perfect tense? We can use the present perfect tense with unfinished time expressions or with no time expression. For example, the time expressions, the unfinished time expressions are today, this week, this month, this year, in my life, etc. Today is not over yet. This week is not over yet. This month is not over yet. This year is not over yet. My life is not over yet. For example, present perfect tense with unfinished time expression, with no time expression. For example, I have done my homework today. Today is an unfinished time expression that is not over yet. I have done my homework today. Or she has met her boss 2 times this week. Or I have traveled 2 times in my life. Or with no time expression, she has broken a window. We don't need to use time expression. They have caught a big fish. Or he has studied his lessons for tests, etc. Let's move on. Subjects that are used in tenses are I, we, you, they, he, she, and it. Helping verbs. There are 2 helping verbs in the present perfect tense. They are have and has. Have is used with subjects I, we, you, they. Has is used with subject he, she, and it. And the main verbs are used in a past participle or the third form of the verb. For example, walked, eaten, broken, spoken, studied, written, etc. There are many types of verbs. The main structure that is used in the present perfect tense is subject plus have or has plus main verb plus object or complement. Let's make some examples using this structure. For example, positive subjects plus have or has plus the third form of the verb plus object. I have eaten food, we have eaten food, you have eaten food, they have eaten food, he has eaten food, she has eaten food, and it has eaten food. Let's look at some more examples. They have passed the test today. There is the subject, have is the helping verb, passed is the third form of the verb, and test is the object. Or Lucy has broken her leg. That's it. Negative. Subjects have not or has not. We use adverb not in negative sentences to make the meaning of the sentence negative, plus the third form of the verb plus object. I have not eaten food, we have not eaten food, you have not eaten food, they have not eaten food, he has not eaten food, she has not eaten food, it has not eaten food. Let's look at some more examples. I have not passed the test today. It is the negative form of they have passed the test today. Lucy has not broken her leg. It is the negative form of Lucy has broken her leg. Let's move on. Interrogative. In interrogative sentences, the helping verbs come at the beginning of the sentence. Have plus IVU they, or has plus he, she, it, plus the third form of the verb plus object. Have I eaten food? Have we eaten food? Have you eaten food? Have they eaten food? Has he eaten food? Has she eaten food? Has it eaten food? Let's look at some more examples. Have they passed the test today is the interrogative form of they have passed the test today. Or has Lucy broken her leg is the interrogative form of Lucy has broken her leg. That's it. Let's move on. How to make contraction in the present perfect tense. As I stated in the previous lessons, we use contractions because it is easier and faster to speak. And we often use contractions in conversation, but we cannot use contraction in formal writing or in academic writing. For example, positive contractions or I have becomes I've. We contract pronoun with helping verb have or has. How to contract? We remove or we cancel H and A, and then we add apostrophe and then we join them. I have become I've. We have becomes we've. You have becomes you've. They have becomes they've. He has becomes his. She has become she's. It has becomes it is. For example, they've won the match. You have done your project. He has deceived me. We have already watched that movie. It has broken the window. I've taught English for 5 years. His can be, remember, his can be his, she's, or it is. Can be the contracted form of different things, different tenses. His can be the contracted form of he is a doctor. It becomes he's a doctor. It can be the contracted form of he is watching a movie. It becomes he's watching a movie. It becomes the contracted form of he has broken my PC. His can be the contraction form of 3 different things. He is a doctor, he is watching a movie, he has broken my PC. How do you know? When there is a noun after that is a simple present tense. He is a doctor. If there is the ing form of the verb after he is, that is the present continuous tense. Or if there is the third form or the past participle form of the verb after he is, that is the present perfect tense. He has broken my PC, etc. Let's move on. Negative contractions. I have not becomes I haven't. We contract have with adverb not in negative structure. Or we have not becomes we haven't. You have not becomes you haven't. They have not becomes they haven't. He has not becomes he hasn't. She has not becomes she hasn't. It has not becomes it hasn't. Let's look at some examples. They haven't won the match. You haven't done your projects. He hasn't deceived me. We haven't watched that movie. He hasn't broken the window. I haven't taught English yet. That's it. Let's move on. Regular and irregular verbs. In the present perfect tense, we need to know regular and irregular verbs. Regular verbs are those verbs that form the past simple and the past participle by adding d, ed, or ied to the base form of the verbs. For example, walk becomes walk, the second and the third form. Study becomes studied, the second and the third form. Organize become organized, the second and the third form of the verb, organized. And irregular verbs are those verbs that do not have any specific role. The first form of irregular verbs can be restyled to create the past simple and the past participle. For example, the first form of the verb is speak, the second form of the verb is spoke, and the third form of the verb is spoken. It has three different shapes. It has three different forms. The spellings are different. You speak, you spoke, spoken. Or take, took, taken. Write, wrote, written. Buy, bought, bought, etc. There are many types of irregular verbs. Let's move on. Rules of adding d, ed, and ied to the verbs. Regular verbs. Most verbs simply take ed without any change. We do not change the spelling of the verbs. We simply add ed. For example, want becomes wanted. Call becomes called. Select becomes selected. Clean becomes cleaned. Look becomes looked, etc. Verbs ending in e take only d. When a verb ends in e, we only add d to the verb. For example, organize becomes organized. The verb organize ends in e, and we add d. Organize becomes organized. Arrange becomes arranged. Create becomes created. Or ignore becomes ignored. Realize becomes realized, etc. Verbs ending in consonant plus y, drop the y and then add ied. For example, cry becomes cried. Try becomes tried. Fry becomes fried. Marry becomes married. Carry becomes carried, etc. One-syllable verbs ending in CVC letters double the last letter and then add ed to the verbs. What are CVC letters? CVC letters are consonant plus vowel plus consonant. For example, stop becomes stopped. Plan becomes planned. Slim becomes slimmed. Admit becomes admitted. Wrap becomes wrapped. All these verbs end in consonant plus vowel plus consonant. First, we double the last consonant and then we put ed. For example, stop becomes stop. The past form has double p. Stop, stopped, etc. Let's move on. Short answers in the present tense. How to give short answer? If someone asks you a question, you don't need to use a long sentence or repeat the whole question to answer their question. You can simply give a short answer. How to give short answer? If the questions start with has, you can answer them with either has or hasn't. Or if the questions start with have, you can answer them with either have or haven't. For example, have you ever dreamed in English? If you have dreamed in English, yes, I have. No, I haven't. The question starts with have, and the answer is have or haven't. Have you ever dreamed in English? Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Have they taken the test today? Yes, they have, or no, they haven't. Has she ever seen you? Yes, she has, or no, she hasn't. Has he been a teacher for 5 years? Yes, he has, or no, he hasn't. Has it worked properly this week? Yes, it has, or no, it hasn't. Have we passed the final test? Yes, you have, or no, you haven't. That's it. Let's move on. Some more examples in the present perfect tense. She has lived in Canada for 10 years is the positive form. She has not lived in Canada for 10 years is the negative form. And has she lived in Canada for 10 years? The interrogative form. They have been my friends since 2010, the positive form. They have not been my friends since 2010, the negative form. Have they been my friends since 2010 is the interrogative form. Or Sarah has had 3 tests so far, the positive form. Sarah has not had 3 tests so far, the negative form. Has Sarah had 3 tests so far, the interrogative form. Okay, WH question in the present perfect tense. WH question comes at the beginning of the sentence. For example, what has she cooked for lunch today? What comes at the beginning of the sentence? Where have you studied English so far? Where comes at the beginning of the sentence. How long have you been in Japan? Remember, we in the present perfect tense, we cannot use when. Instead of when, we use how long. How long have you been in Japan? Because in the present perfect tense, the time is not clear. That is why you cannot use when. When is used to ask when something happened. So in the present perfect tense, that the time of an action is not clear. The action happened at some unclear time. How long have you been in Japan? But it is wrong to say when you have been in Japan. Or who has won the match today? Why have they left the class earlier this morning? Whom has he met since he came here? Or how has he gotten through this month? Etc. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and make sure click that bell so that you know when I publish a new English video here on YouTube. And if you want to learn more English, and if you want to learn more English grammars, you can follow the next videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.